Hello everyone, this is Singh 𝐒𝐲𝐬 and today I'm back with another video where we'll be discussing unified checkout page. So we will try to understand the problem statement first, and this discussion is entirely based on the blog which is being published by Uber. So if you quickly checked out this blog, I will definitely share the link with you in the video description. But if you quickly check out this blog, our entire discussion will be based on that. So we will try to understand what was the problem, what is checkout page actually, what is unified checkout page mean, and then we will try to see how this is actually implemented or how this is actually designed. So let's get started. We will start with the requirements first. So first of all, what is checkout page? So like whenever you buy something, in case of Uber, you are like booking rides or you are using Uber Eats platform or like other services which are available by Uber, right? So whenever you are buying a service on any platform, finally you land on a page where you have to pay the money. पैसे के बिना क्या आएगा, है ना? तो to buy that particular service, you have to pay that amount. Now, to pay that amount, there might be multiple, there will be, not might be, there will be multiple payment options, and users can choose to select any one of them to proceed with that payment flow, right? So let's say there is I bought something on Amazon, or I booked a ride on Uber, or like let's say I or bought any service on any other platforms. Okay, it could be anything. So you did that purchasing, and after that you are landed on a checkout page where all the details are mentioned, such as what's the final amount, what is the what do you say, what are the different payment options available to you. Let's say UPI is one of the option. Then you have, if I quickly show you, right? Let's say Razor Pay checkout page. I can quickly show you the image of the Razor Pay checkout page, and it should be something similar to, why it's not opening. Yeah, it should be something similar to this. Okay, you have a amount, then you have your basically your details, and then these are the payment options which you can choose from. Okay, so these are the payment options you can choose from, and then you finally move ahead with the payment flow. Cool. So what we are discussing today is there is a underlying problem. What is the underlying problem? Underlying problem is that there are different solutions available. So whenever, like when the Uber actually started, when the Uber actually started, uh, there was a single system, or like there was a single service being offered by Uber, right? Just book the rides and then move ahead with it. And once you book the ride, you proceed with the payment. Now, as and when more services are evolving or more services are being added, there are more teams which are involved. Okay, so there are different lines of businesses, which the one of the term which we'll be using here is line of businesses. So there are different line of businesses which are available, and then from those line of businesses, each line of business has to implement that checkout page. Okay, so when I say each line has to implement that, the flow which we mentioned, right? The flow which we mentioned here. So this entire flow is implemented by each and every team. So we might have a single payment service, and that payment service is being used by multiple of these teams, and this checkout page is implemented by all of these line of businesses, and we want to kind of avoid that. Okay, we want to kind of avoid that. So that's where your unified checkout page comes in picture. So what you want to do is, you want to build a single system, you want to build a single system, you want to build a unified system जो क्या करेगा, it should be easy to integrate with. Okay, it should be easy to integrate with, and the clients, or what you say, line of businesses are basically your clients, right? They are they are internal clients only, but they are your clients, and it should be direct integration so that they don't have to spend any bandwidth on the actual integration. They should just directly say that I want this and this payment option. Let's say for my one of the use case of ride booking, I need UPI and net banking. So that should be readily available to me without much engineering bandwidth spent, right? It should be something sort of that I give in configuration. So there are like some APIs for onboarding. I onboard my system, and then I'm good to go. It should be as simple as that. So that's how your unified checkout page helps in. Cool. So this is one of the thing that your engineering bandwidth is saved, and As and when new payment modes are introduced. So let's say UPI was not there 10 years back. I don't know the actual inception date of it, but yeah, it was not quite popular back then, right? And it was recently added, and it is like heavily used right now. Uh, let's say right now we have credit card as an option, but for let's say for ride booking, you don't allow credit card. Or a simple use case is that for let's say you offer credit card repayments on your platform, okay, but you can't use another credit card as a payment option. So these are the use cases, right? Not every line of business will use all the payment options. Some of the clients will be interested in some of them, and your system should be able to do that via configurations easily. That's where we mean multi-tenant system, so that different clients come in, they so interest in particular payment options that I want this and this, and should be kind of plug and play. Cool. So this we already discussed. Another thing is your system should be able to support different kind of authentication mechanisms. Okay. So whenever I say authentication mechanism, right? So in case of UPI, you generally enter the MPIN. In case of debit card, what you do? In case of debit card, you enter, let's say, OTP, or same in the case of maybe credit card. Okay. Or if let's say you have allowed directly for credit card, if you just enter the CVV and all those things, so till a certain amount you can directly pay the amount without entering OTP. So the different kind of authentication modes should be supported easily. Cool. uh, Another thing is which is kind of extension to this approach, and we will not be discussing as part of this video, but the idea is that you should be able to so take an example of you buying something on Amazon. What you can do is you can pay some amount if you have something available in your Amazon Pay balance, and then you can pay remaining amount via, let's say, your credit card, your Amazon Pay credit card. So that's, you are combining two payment options for processing a single payment. So that should be able to what you say, your system should be able to achieve that. Cool. Now another thing is this is one of the again extension problem, that whenever you booked a ride, you selected a cash as a payment option, but later on you modified it to UPI or some other payment option, right? Or you paid via the app instead of paying via cash. So your system should be able to support that. Cool. So this is the diagram which represents what we mean by without unified checkout page, like how your system looked like when you didn't have the unified checkout page, and right now when you have a unified checkout page, how you can do it. So without unified checkout page, you have your multiple systems, lines of businesses, rides front end, Uber transit front end, your different front ends. They have their backend, and their backends interact with risk and their payment platform, which we have a single platform for payment processing system, right? With unified checkout page with unified checkout page, this payment platform and risk is entirely abstracted out. So clients just need to talk with the checkout page, unified checkout page. Whenever I say checkout page, you can assume it's a backend service. Okay. So they just have to interact with the checkout page, and that system is able to handle all the payment options which are available. So that system will talk with the payment platform, whatever payment options are supported here. We will go into the architecture in some time, but yeah, it should be able to directly talk with the payment platform and then process the payment. Cool. So this is the problem statement. I think I made it pretty clear that what we are expecting out of system, what is the problem we are facing right now, और उसको क्यों solve करना है. By the way, before moving forward, if you haven't heard or you do not follow me on LinkedIn, there is a book which I was working on. Still, it's work in progress. The content is completed, and it's called System Design on AWS, and it will be available next year in February for buying. So the video I'm shooting it right now, I'm not sure well when I will make it public, but this book will be available in February, expected to be available in February. You can read it online right now. It's in the all the early release chapters are available on O'Reilly platform. It's a great book, and you will also get to know this checkout kind of thing there, payment processing architecture, basically how payment system works in one of the use case chapters there. Okay. So happy learning. And do share any feedback if you have anything. So back to the design. Back to the design, what we are discussing. We already are clear with the requirements, and right now let's dig directly into the design. Cool. So we have to make sure that generic payment method support. We already talked about that in requirement. Risk system integration is needed. So whenever a payment system is processed, you should do certain kind of checks before the payment is actually sent to the payment processing platform. So we mentioned this platform, right? Payment platform. So before sending that transaction or payment or order to a payment platform, what you should do is you should run some kind of pre-checks. Your pre-checks are, let's say, your risk checks. If this customer is allowed to make this much big of amount, or like, is this transaction valid, or can this be a fraud transaction? Okay, these kind of things. Another, then there can be simple checks. Is there amount available? Let's say the customer is trying to use wallet. Is there a amount actually left in the wallet to pay? Let's say the amount is 100 and in your wallet you only have 180 rupees, so you will not be able to proceed. So there is no point in sending that to a payment platform. Actually, you should be able to figure that out earlier, before actually starting the transaction. So these are kind of your, what you can say, pre-checkout actions. Okay, pre-checkout actions where you check all those things and then do the processing. Cool. uh okay, so this is the design. Let's directly go. I think I added the diagram somewhere. Yeah, we have the diagram here. So this is the architecture we will talk about quickly. We will try to understand it, how it will work. So let's get started. Cool. So this is your mobile application. Cool. This is your mobile application. You are placing an order. Order is an entity uh, which will abstract out your all the payment options basically. Cool. So payment is associated to this order. We have created this abstracted entity order, and it should be able to, and this is actually quite helpful in cases of combining multiple payments. Okay, and let's say in scenarios of if one payment is failed, you again retry on that payment. Okay, so you are able to articulate or combine multiple payments or multiple transactions in a single order. So you can say that, yeah, this order, this transaction failed, and this is the retry transaction which is successful in place of this failed transaction. Cool. So whenever I say place order, we are actually trying to create an order entity in our system. So you receive a request from place order. This is your gateway. Gateway, you can say your routing, or you can front end layer which do all the kind of processing and pre-checks. You can say your user is authenticated, rate limiting, the request is valid, all those kind of things. Okay, you receive a request of place order to line of business backend. Okay, so a line of business backend will go to the checkout page. When I'm in habit of continuously saying checkout page, but whenever I say checkout page, you don't have to assume that it's a UI component. You have to assume that it's a backend service, backend system which is in place, which is accepting the request. Okay, so you go to the checkout page. Again, you go to the checkout system. You will say that prepare for the checkout. Okay, so at this point, if there are any checkout actions which you should provide to the line of business backend, you will provide that. Okay, so let's say you need some additional information. To move forward with the transaction, move forward with this order, move forward with this payment. Okay, so you will pass on that as part of checkout actions. Cool. Other thing is, you need I mean, whatever information you need, right? Authorization information. Let's say the user is not authenticated, so you will ask that reauthorize this user, or ask this user to re-login, or like all sort of things. Whatever actions there are, and there is a possibility that there are none of the actions which are to be processed. Okay, so you go to the checkout page, you go to the checkout system, you figure out what all options are there. Am I allowed to move forward with the checkout? Okay, so you do that. If there are any actions which need to be processed, you return to the LOB backend, it takes the action and then move forward. Cool. Once that is done, it will do other systems. Um, it will perform other actions. Okay, so it will talk to risk system. Okay, it will talk to experience services. Whenever I say experience services, like let's say there is some special kind of offer which needs to be shown on the checkout page. Let's say for this particular user, you are providing 20% off on this ride. Okay, so for these kind of experiences, you talk to the payment experience service and then get all the details. Okay, it could be as simple as one of the great example is figuring out if the payment option is performing well or not. Okay, so let's say at a particular time your phone pay handle is down. Okay, yes bank is down, so at that point of time that at the rate ybl handle will not work for the upi payments. Okay, so if you are able to figure out that beforehand and you suggest the user that don't use this at the rate ybl handle, maybe if you have another handle, use that. Cool. So these kind of things can be done as part of this, and accordingly accordingly you will show all the payment options which are available on the checkout. Okay, you are on the ui page, so this is returned to this checkout page, I mean ui, that these are the checkout options or payment options which are available to you. Select one and then move forward with the payment. Cool. The actual payment is done via this payment platform services system. So you sent in the request of payment that process this payment. Okay, you process this payment and this payment platform service will talk to your third party systems. So let's say this will talk to razorpay for processing of payment, or this, let's say you talk to a particular bank, or you talk to a payment gateway. So it will talk to your third party systems to process that actual payment. Okay, so it will, and generally how payment systems works is that the payment system, you sent in the request to payment service, it will send the request to the external vendor. Okay, you will receive some sort of acknowledgement. This, let's say in the case of razorpay, you will receive a payment id. Cool. So first you create an order and then against that order you can create a payment. So you will receive that payment ID. Now there is a possibility that you might receive the success response in the same call itself, but in general how it works is you will receive acknowledgement response. So all the APIs generally work in async fashion, because again razorpay has to talk to bank as well as npci if it's a upi payment, right? So to process that, it will send a response later on, that or via callbacks, that what is the status of this payment, whether this payment was successful or was this payment failure. Cool. Or it's still in processing. And so these kind of statuses are sent via callbacks. Your platform service consumes those callbacks and then they are sent to this particular queue. This queue is subscribed to our checkout consumer. This is checkout system ka consumer which consumes all these events, and then they also publish these checkout events to another queue. These checkout events are consumed by the LOB backend to figure out what happened with this order. So this is the general flow of how payment systems work. There are like much more details into it. And again, as I said, if you want to understand how payment processing architectures work, there is a one use case system in which we talk about it, and we have also talked about the order entity there in the book. Which book? This book, System Design on AWS. This is still early release, but you will get the final version in the next year, so stay tuned. But coming coming back to our architecture, so this is the overall architecture that you show in different payment options. It is plug and play for the clients. They interact with the system, they process the payment. Finally, the status is published via payment platform system to this payment result events. It is consumed by checkout consumer. Then checkout events are published here. They can be consumed by LOB backend. And one of the thing is that which we skipped till right now. One of the option is that who handles the fulfillment of the order. Okay, so this fulfillment of order is not handled by your checkout system. Whenever I say fulfillment, what you can say is that the payment processing is complete, but once the payment processing is complete, that service should be made available to the system. So that's the order fulfillment. Okay, so take an example of Amazon, right? You did the payment. you did the payment, so that's the responsibility of checkout system. The payment is completed, that's the responsibility of checkout system plus payment platform services. Once the payment is done, the order has to be delivered to you, so that's the order fulfillment part, and that is not handled by our checkout system. Okay, so order is completed. Whenever I say order, it's a payment order. So order is completed, you return the status via your callbacks. Okay, you return your status via your callbacks, and then it is handled by the client for further processing. You can assume it kind of orchestrator. That first step is payment processing. Payment processing is complete, now do the other fulfillment part. Another thing is, one of the thing is, how will the clients interact with our new checkout system? Cool. So one of the things which is mentioned in the Uber engineering blog is, so what will be the moving force for the clients? What will be the moving force for the clients, that they are already integrated? We mentioned, right, they are already integrated here with the platform services, right? So all the new line of businesses which comes in, they will interact with the checkout page. But what's the benefit for these systems which are already integrated? So for them, all the payment options you are introducing, let's say credit card was not available earlier, you introduce that newly, but you will not introduce that payment options directly via payment platform. You will expose that via checkout page, so that clients, like lines of businesses, talks to this system to leverage that new payment option and then use it. Cool. Another thing is the integration part. So we already mentioned that we have our multi-tenant system, in which it's a plug and play. They can give the configurations, and according to the configurations, the clients are delivered, clients are served. Cool. So clients are served, but one thing is that there is a possibility that they need a huge customization on top of what is built on the checkout page. So for those use cases, and if you ever worked with payment systems, generally all the payment systems which are out there, just take an example of payment gateways. So if you want to integrate with checkout page, right, they offer two options. One is S2S, service to service, server to server, not service to service, server to server, and one is via their custom checkout page. So there are some customizations available on the checkout page which you can do. So that's one option, that you integrate with their checkout page. It's their framework which you can directly integrate in your code. Another thing is, your backend system talks to the server, and it heavily depends on your use case, that which approach is most beneficial to you. Okay, like if you need more control, go with the S2S, server to server. If you need less control and don't want to do much effort at your end and save time to market, then use the directly UI component. So your system should be able to serve both the use cases. You should also provide via the UI component, and your checkout system should also be, uh, line of vision should also be able to directly talk with your backend service by via UPI APIs. Cool. So this is all about unified checkout page. I hope you liked the video. You enjoyed the video and got some insights from it. And I will try to keep mapping more videos around the engineering blog. Stay tuned and stay connected. See you. Bye bye.